Actions in recent days have dashed hopes that the group might have changed its ways in the last 2 decades. The group made many tall claims about letting bygones be bygones, allowing women to study and work, and allowing independent media to work. But their actions on the ground are starkly opposite. Several media watchdogs have reported incidents of Afghan journalists being beaten, harassed, or their homes raided. There have been cases where women journalists have been turned away from work. But Afghanistan's journalists don't want their lives in the last 20 years undone in less than a week. The journalists are ready to defend their rights, come what may.
Women's rights and free speech have been hard-fought gains in Afghanistan over the last 2 decades of war. When last in power in 2001, the Taliban had barred women from holding jobs. But in what would have been unthinkable back then, a female journalist interviewed a Taliban spokesperson earlier this week after the group secured power in the capital, Kabul. In their first press conference since capturing the city, the Islamist militant movement said Tuesday it would allow free media and jobs for women. But some journalists aren't convinced. Saad Mohseni, who heads the largest private broadcaster in Afghanistan, told Reuters on Thursday it's too early to tell what the Taliban's policies will be.
The laissez-faire approach is more a reflection of not having enough bandwidth than a specific policy that they would allow media to carry on business as usual, as they have been over the last 2 decades. So I wouldn't get too excited. It's only been 72 hours. I mean, since they took over the city, and it just their senior officials are just arriving in Kabul, now.
The Taliban spokesperson said on Tuesday that media must not work against Islamic values and that women could work, quote, within the framework of Islam.
It's interesting that some of them are interviewed, they refuse to look at the woman, they look at the camera person. So it's they do it, but they do it in a way that you can see that they're uncomfortable. Whereas the guy in the studio the other day was sort of a senior, one of their senior outreach communications person, was quite comfortable looking at the presenter.
Media watchdogs have reported incidents this week of Afghan journalists being beaten, harassed, or raided at their homes. In one example, a presenter on state-owned Radio Television Afghanistan, Sahar Nasari, wrote on Facebook that members of the Taliban took his camera and beat up his colleague while he was trying to film a story in Kabul. He said, quote, "It has become clear there is a gap between action and words." A Taliban spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment on accusations that it has harassed journalists, and particularly women in the profession.
And for more on this, human rights defender and president of the board of Afghan Women Network, Mahbouba Siraj, is joining us live from Kabul. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast. Now, what is the situation in Afghanistan right now in your assessment?
Thank you for having me on your show. The situation in Afghanistan right now is, relatively calm. There is a lot actually happening, but they're happening kind of, how shall I say, not very much on the surface, and not some things that everybody knows, but quietly some terrible things are happening here and there. At the same time, nothing is happening, and things really look normal. But there are skirmishes. There are kind of situations like in some places that shows that there is something happening. What could be happening is the fact that they are going to have government, most probably. Maybe that's what it is. But at this point, this void of power, at this point, this uncertainty and not knowing, at this point, not knowing how many groups of Talibs there are, and not knowing who is actually in charge of where, it's creating really a lot of problems, especially for our airport, especially for the people who want to leave the country.
Yes,
and everybody
now
else.
We are witnessing. Absolutely. Now, we are witnessing several images of parents literally giving away their babies to U.S. soldiers who are on the other side of the fence at Kabul airport. How do you see this utter desperation?
I mean, I mean, honestly, what happened to my people, to the Afghans right now, it is so sad and it is so horrible. Look at what's happening to all of us. It's like I'm completely, how shall I say, I don't even have words to describe how I really feel about all of this. I am so distraught. I am so upset. I am so, I'm really hurt. Not only me. This is how we all are. Can you imagine a woman or giving their baby because they're so scared that for that child to grow in this country, what's going to happen to that child? And we honestly don't know what was going to happen to any one of us. And this uncertainty is really, really horrible. And everybody is afraid of Taliban. That's even worse because in this fear, whether it's a right fear or a wrong fear, I don't know. I really don't know what it is, to tell you the truth. But it's a fear based on another fear in Afghanistan, 20 years back when they were here in Afghanistan and ruling Afghanistan. That's what it is really based on. And of course, it is also based on their actions, what they have done here and there, not as in general, not to a whole lot of people, but here and there. So that is what is happening. But if they keep on going the way they are going right now, and if they keep on doing what they are doing right now, I think it's going to really jeopardize their hold on Afghanistan, on the people of Afghanistan. What do they want to make out of this country? But then, of course, there are so many other scenarios that they're going that we don't, it's not the time maybe to talk about it right now, but there are scenarios that the more and more I read about it and the more and more I look at all of this, I realize that those scenarios might be true. So,
sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, on what you said about these experiences being fear-based from 20 years ago, as women in Afghanistan, the Taliban has said that it will allow women to work and there won't be strict restrictions. But can we believe their word?
It's like they're going to put so many I mean, their words are one thing, their restrictions are something else. All these restrictions that they're going to put, they're going to make it so impossible. The last time when they were here, don't think that they told all of the girls not to go to school. That was not the case. They told the girls that they can go to school. But they said, what we are going to do, we are going to get you buses. So the girls can be transported in buses from their homes, different stations, to the school. And for the 6 years that they were here, they never found those buses. So you see, that's what they do. That's what they do. They make it impossible to work. Like, for example, right now at the universities, the number of teachers, the number of professors. I mean, the whole cadre of a university is not something that you make it in a matter of months. That's a work of 20 years mostly in Afghanistan, that we finally have a group of people who are teachers, who can teach, we have curriculums, we have set up all of this, we have professors, we have a cadre, and we have all of this. And you want to change that. You cannot change that overnight. That cannot be changed like that. There's going to be shortage of teachers. So, so I don't understand it. It's just like it's going to be made so difficult, so difficult. So we'll see how they're going to the Sharia.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time today, and thank you for being with us on this broadcast and bringing us all the latest from Kabul.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, dear.
We are now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.